everyone. Welcome to another video. I'm by myself today. Look at the height difference. Can you sit up?
Yes, I'm a manlet.
Look how big my head looks compared to
Take
yours.
your son to work day.
Hello. We saw a movie.
Mm-hmm.
So, my freshman year of college, I don't like using the C word around here, but I'm now a junior. My freshman year, Luke forced me at gunpoint to watch a scary movie. So scary. Called... What's it called? The Shining. Can you say The Shining?
I forget the name.
Okay. If you knock over the phone one more time. Okay. We watched The Shining. How exciting. Luke had seen it before. When was the first time you watched it?
I was like 12.
When he was like 12.
I've seen it a bunch of times. I really like it. It's my favorite horror movie. It has a million, trillion different layers, and it is fantastic.
It's like an onion.
Yes.
And as Luke...
It's like a grilled onion. It's so fucking good. We're not allowed to curse. No cursing.
As Luke looks exactly like human Shrek, as well as real Shrek, he really likes onions and things with many layers, so he likes The Shining. I cried about 3 times while watching the movie, and it kind of traumatized me. So I don't like the movie. I know it's a good movie. It is a good movie, but I personally don't like it. For a whole list of reasons, but this video is not about The Shining. It's about the sequel. Kind of sequel.
Yeah.
Not the same director, not even made in the same century. Millennium? And also none of the original same characters. The cook guy was even different.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. You may be asking, well, Zoe, why did they make a sequel if it's not going to have any of the same characters? It's not going to kind of follow the first plot. It's not even going to, like, have the same canon, you know? Why would they make another movie? And the answer to your question is, Stephen King wants more money, and so he half-assedly wrote Dr. Sleep, and then they made this trash can of a movie. If you haven't guessed already, Dr. Sleep was horrible.
It's pretty bad.
Roll credits. Okay, but seriously, Dr. Sleep, Luke said something very interesting. Maybe we should just say what the movie's about first, and then I'll go into that. The movie follows... You wanna say?
No, go ahead. I'll just be a background character. I won't say anything.
Well, that's why you're in my videos. You're just there to look pretty and make a lot of noise.
So, takes place, what, 30 years after the events of The Shining. It has Danny Torrance as an adult being abusive and drunk like his father was before him, kind of the same Torrance ways. And him basically running away from that life to a new little town becoming a, like, what do you call it? It's not a stewardess. Someone who works in a hospital.
Janitor.
And helps around. There's a word for it. I just, like a...
Caretaker?
I feel like it starts with an S. Anyway. And it's like at an old folks hospital, so he gets the nickname Dr. Sleep because he helps a bunch of old people
at
to
night.
Their death.
At night, but they also die.
They die. Like, he makes the transition easier with his shine ability.
Because he makes them think, smell, hear, see, touch things that are comforting. Like, oh my gosh, my wife's apple pie.
Mm-hmm.
Or back in the old days when we could just stone the gaze.
Mm-hmm.
That type of thing.
Yep.
And so... And there's also a cat. You read the Wikipedia for the book. The cat plays a bigger role?
The whole book was inspired by a cat in real life that could presumably predict when people would die and go and sleep with them the night that they die. So there was a cat in the movie that did the same thing, and that's what Stephen King said he based a whole second book on, which gives you an idea about the quality of the book and the thought out part of it. And then you get to the actual terrible part of the movie where there's these soul-sucking vampires that feast on people who have the special psychic ability. Because when they die, apparently they let out steam. There's pee on this, by the way.
Oh.
They let out steam, and they suck the steam.
Hello, person.
And that is like, they live forever, basically. They can live for a long, long time.
Yeah.
If they live safely.
Eat well, live long.
Exactly.
That was the thing. And, like, talking about that, when we saw the trailer for Dr. Sleep, we were seeing some movie. I want to say it was,
We've seen so many movies.
I know, but I forgot the name. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
I honestly don't know.
It might have been that movie where we saw the trailer for it. We've seen a lot of movies, and a lot of shit movies. But we and we were watching it, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is The Shining Part 2. And I knew that it had a sequel, and I knew they were making a sequel. And did you know they were making one? Okay. But
I'm sorry. But I didn't move it that far.
I know, but now it's centered.
Okay,
but it was going good. It looked good. There was the hotel. There was the little girl. I thought he was going to be like a mentor, help her learn about The Shining or whatever. And then it showed the hunters, and I was like, ooh, this movie's going to be bad, but we're seeing it anyways. And like, as soon from the trailer, you could tell the movie was going to be horrible. And it's just, why ruin such a good thing? They were like, in the movie, they were like, how come we didn't get to you when you were younger? Like, it's amazing that we didn't sense you when you were younger. You're so strong. And now your steam tastes like whiskey. And it was just, like, really stupid.
it's just like, yeah.
Cause also, they were like, as people grow up, their steam gets polluted. Okay, but what about the chef? The chef had polluted steam, and like, didn't...
And so, for the end of the recap of the movie, he meets a little girl that has superpowers, like more strong than his, and these people want to go after her, and they pretty much team up to take them down. So, I really like the aspect of them being together. And, you know, I'm a sucker for shining, like, what do you call them? Easter eggs and stuff like that. But everything with these vampires is terrible. It's just like they took two stories that didn't have anything to do with each other and were like, sure, they're the same. And it also is really difficult because the movie The Shining and the book The Shining are like opposites. Like everything about them is reversed. That's like the whole point of Stanley Kubrick's Shining. And I think Stephen King wrote the second book because he was like, you know what? I hate this movie. I'm going to make sure that they can't do this again. So I'm going to write something that's very anti the movie. And he did, and he made this terrible story about these vampires. And then they're like, perfect, we can make a movie about it and combine the book and the movie. So they're trying to reference the Shining book and the Shining movie, which are just completely different. And they're trying to, it doesn't work. It doesn't work at all.
Yeah, basically, it's so dumb because if they eat well, they live longer. And they can regenerate when they eat well. But, like, she binge eats and then she can regenerate, which doesn't make any sense because why wouldn't you... He was dying. Why wouldn't you make him binge eat then? And then he wouldn't die anymore. Can you please not do that?
Quack, quack.
Quack, quack. Okay. But, anyways, they have to team up because a boy died. And this boy, random boy, but apparently she saw him die. So, like, that's another thing. Why do they only care about this boy? She didn't feel any of them else dying. And it was halfway across the continent.
Yeah, it's just out of nowhere.
It's just
very
like,
convenient. Maybe because it's the first one since she's been alive?
No. Because when she was at the birthday party...
What?
When she was 5...
What happened?
At her birthday party, that's when the messages started. But that's when the first girl...
First girl was in the 80s, when Danny was a kid.
Oh, yeah.
So I think it just was the first one. But still.
But they do it, like, every day, you know? It seems like all their life, all they're doing is going from one town to the next, murdering kids.
Yeah.
And it's so dumb why they chose to, like... Okay, the movie should not have been called Dr. Sleep. Because the amount of time that he was referenced as, like, a hospice caretaker or whatever was...
like 5 minutes.
5 minutes! It's like the first 20 minutes of the movie he's working there, but you see him, like, take 3 people to the afterlife, and then it's like, one of them calls him Dr. Sleep, and it's like, oh my god, he said the movie title! But, like, it doesn't have anything to do with the movie. And then later, one of the girl's superpowers is she can say, like, these are not the droids you're looking for. And they're like, oh, these aren't the droids I'm looking for. And she made one of the guys fall asleep. And I was like, oh, that's kind of like Dr. Sleep. So basically, everyone with The Shining can make people go to sleep, apparently. And it's just, it doesn't... It's dumb. I feel like I have so much to say about this movie that I'm not saying anything, but comparing it with The Shining, The Shining, be nice. The Shining doesn't focus on individual characters. It focuses on themes and the place, and it has hidden meanings
like
with
thousands.
Everything in the hotel is there for a reason. If you go on like the deep dives of the web and you watch all the videos like This Boy Here Dead,
I could get really into it.
The Shining is a metaphor for 9/11.
9/11, the extinction of the American Indians. child abuse, sexual abuse,
Man on the Moon.
oh yeah, guilty for faking the moon landing. And that's just like general themes. If you get really into it, it's just ridiculous. Like, so that's one thing. In Stanley, okay, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
In
Go.
Stanley Kubrick's The Shining, the whole thing is all of the ghosts aren't ghosts. Jack is shining all the images into their heads. None of them are real. They don't do anything. But in this movie, it's like, yeah, your dad's dead, and these ghosts just follow you around. You gotta lock them up. They're gonna get you.
Yeah.
The ghosts wanna zuck your steam. Like, it's just it's like if I said, yeah, Shrek. Yeah, Shrek is actually like a baby eater, and all he wants to do is eat babies. You didn't get that from the first movie? Like, his house is made of baby bones.
Yeah.
It's like, what? No! None of that.
And that's the thing. In the second movie, the ghosts were like ghosts, and also like all they wanted to do was kill Danny.
Yeah.
And that was not what happened in The Shining.
No.
Like, I don't really remember a lot of The Shining, to be honest.
Try to get her to rewatch it. And she was like, yeah, we need to rewatch it. And then when I went to rewatch it, she's like, I don't want to rewatch it.
That is what happened.
It's very,
But,
very
like,
good.
They didn't.
The only time he gets touched is supposedly by the lady in the bathtub, which is in this movie a lot. And if you watch it, it never shows him being touched by the lady, and it shows Jack touching him in the exact places that he had the strangulation marks, like mere minutes before he gets attacked. So Jack is the one who attacked him and then put images in his head of the lady.
I thought you said the little girls heard him.
The little girls never heard him.
Yeah, in this movie, it's like the little girls want... It just doesn't make any sense.
It's like it's taking from the book. Like I say, it's taking from the book, but it builds on the movie. They can't have best of both worlds. They can't combine the stories like that because it just doesn't work. It makes it look like a bad movie.
You're making so much noise.
I know. Okay, I know.
It comes through in the video.
I know. I don't care.
Oh my god. He needs like a fidget spinner or something.
Well, that would make more noise.
Okay, anyways. But the kitchen guy, was in this movie. And
As a ghost.
As a ghost. And he teaches Danny how to lock away the other ghosts that are haunting him. But this ghost is different because he's good ghost. He's good ghost. So he doesn't hurt Danny. He just kind of kidnaps him by making him walk out of his house without his mom knowing. And his mom, who is traumatized because her abusive late husband tried to murder her and her son like mere months before. And now her son is all of a sudden missing, and he also has not talked since they got back from the hotel. He's now gone for no reason, but it's okay, he's with the good ghost, out in public, as you do, and he's like, okay, you have to make this exact box and put it in your head. And it was like, he showed him the box, he said, you have to make this exact box. Why couldn't it have been like a cardboard box or something? I don't know. And then later you see all the boxes in his head, and there are a bunch of different boxes, so I guess it didn't have to be that box. He just wanted to take like an artistic rendition of each box and, you know, really craft it for the ghost that's gonna be inside of it. So the ugly, disgusting, naked old lady in the bathtub, you know, maybe she wants her box to have like blue tones in it. And the twins, they're fiery, their passion and their love is so strong for one another. So let's just put them in an orange and red box. Like, it doesn't make any sense. The boxes look different, but I feel like it was like, he was like, you have to make the box look like this. So that was in there for no reason.
I didn't notice the boxes were different. So.
Okay, well, I did. And that was another thing. They're just...
But again, the real problem with this movie was just the villains. The villains were terrible. Their motives were dumb. All of them were weird because they're 1,000 years old. They were creepy to children. They were all had like dreadlocks, which was terrible.
Oh, gross. It wasn't even like dreadlocks. Their hair was just matted. Like, fucking brush your hair. Please, please.
Their whole thing was like, they had no redeeming qualities. You can't feel anything for them. You can't sympathize with them.
You don't want... Like, normally when there's a villain, you try to make the audience have a struggle because you realize this person is human, and that's another thing. You're not human, but what are they? No one knows. Not even they know. Whatever. But... What am I saying? The bad guy has to have some type of positive trait, otherwise you just hate them. And that does not make for a good bad guy. And the fact that there were like 8 bad people, but you learned their names, but like I don't remember what any of their names are.
Crow Daddy and Rose the
Craw
Hat.
Daddy.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And like she was like, "Oh yeah, I'm named after my hat." But like I didn't even hear any of them call her Rose the Hat. I only heard them call her Rose, and it's like, you don't know their names, you know what they look like, but I always forgot how many of them there were, or like which one was the main boy or whatever.
Yeah, it takes up so much screen time for nothing that we care about.
Yeah.
And then all the good parts, which are Danny and the girl being together or talking or just the hotel, is like 25 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
It's not enough. And the movie's like 2.5 hours long.
The movie is so long. And that's what I was saying earlier, that The Shining didn't focus on characters at all, just like themes and stuff. This movie's supposed to focus more on the characters because like that's what the director did. What did he also direct?
The new director? Haunting of Hill House, which is all just character development.
And this one was so much more character development than The Shining, but you don't even know the motivations for the bad guys. You don't know anything. Like, you get useless facts about side characters, like, oh, I hunted a deer, and all of a sudden, I shot him, and then he disappeared. And then 5 days later, when I was hunting another deer, I smelled a dead deer. And it's like, and that's what this boy smells like. And he would probably smell a lot worse than a 5-day-old dead deer because he came back from baseball practice and then got killed. So I have smelled sweaty children before. It's not pleasant. It is very unpleasant. They don't even wear deodorant when they're like 9 years old, so.
Yeah.
But like, that was useless exposition. But you don't know anything, and then all of a sudden the giant guy's dying, and they're like, you were there when the world was being created, and you were there when the Romans fell, and you were there, and people told stories about you. People are scared of you, so you're not going to be scared of death. It's like, okay, you're giving me all this character information when he's literally dead, like, right in front of you, and then they just bored his steam. Like, it was like, steam was like crack or something.
They go apeshit for it.
Like, it doesn't... Oh my gosh. I don't understand.
Just wasn't very good.
It was not very good.
What else? Like, also, these are like immortal higher beings that all have a semblance of shine to them that can all do it. And they all just die by like guns and like a car crash kills one.
That was the dumbest death by far.
Like, they just died normal ass ways.
They died so easily. Like,
they also are like all live in RVs and like travel around. It just like I say, it wasn't even, the book wasn't even very good. I think that's the whole root of the issue, is they're like, oh, The Shining was so popular, there's a sequel, we have to make a movie of it. Like, as soon as it came out, because it came out in 2014, 5 years of approval and production, that makes sense. But like, they're just not, the book wasn't good. So, I think they just turned into a shitty movie. Nothing to go on. Like, The Shining was great, but you can't imitate Stanley Kubrick. And they picked a director who's good, but he just is good in 100% different way, so it didn't mesh at all. And Shining took so much out of the book, and this, it seemed like, kept the book 100% as is. The only difference is, like, the little girl didn't predict 9/11. That was pretty much the only difference I got.
Yeah, so, I had two things to say, but I can't think of the second thing to say.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. So the first thing I wanted to say, oh, I remember both of them. Okay, the first thing I wanted to say is, I was very annoyed that they didn't even try to keep the same actors. Because, okay, Danny, maybe that's okay, because little kids kind of all look the same. And he was still cute, but you could tell. I mean, he wasn't. That's another thing. The kid actors in this movie were not good actors, and I don't blame the kids at all because they're children. Okay, to be fair,
Don't say that.
I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna say it. But he, like, I'm not saying they should have casted the same people. I'm saying they should have put, like, the people they have now.
Hey.
Put the people they have now.
Damn it.
The people they have now, and, like, transpose their faces on top of them.
Just, like,
a little bit? Like,
you couldn't, Force Awakens just a little bit?
I know! I mean, they did that with Carrie.
R.I.P.
Yeah. And she's even in this new Star Wars movie. Do not even get me started
We'll
on
make
Star
a review
Wars.
on that one when it comes out.
But the mom doesn't look anything like the mom. Like, the thing is, she had such a distinct face, and this mom looks like a generic version. Like,
she did a great voice. The voice was really, really good. But she just didn't look like her.
It's like, she's the Gucci, and this is the Walmart equivalent. Mm-hmm. Like, the Chinese knockoff of the Gucci, if you will. And then, Jack Nicholson, oh my god, his guy, the only thing he got right were the eyebrows. And, like, the thing is, you really couldn't transpose a stupid face on that actor when all you see is the side of him, and, like, for half of the conversation you don't even see his face, and they're like, oh, let's make a big reveal, let's keep the camera down here, and then, like, 2 minutes in, Danny's gonna say, Dad, and it's gonna go up, and it's gonna be his dad, but, like, he doesn't look like his dad. So, and all, that's another thing. I really hate when movies spell things out. Obviously, that was his father. Are you a fucking idiot if you didn't get that? I'm sorry. Please don't get offended. But, like, the things he was saying, obviously it would be to his father. Like, oh my god, it's so dumb. You don't need to say dad to them. And he wouldn't even call him, I don't think he would have called him dad, because I feel like other times in the movie he just called him Jack or whatever.
In the Shining original?
No, in this movie. I feel like whenever he referred to him, he called him Jack Torrance.
I don't remember.
But he was like, oh, this Jack Daniels bottle, but I won't show the side that says Jack Daniels because we're not sponsored. I remember this bottle so vividly. It was always in our house.
Yeah, like they expanded on his alcoholism when in the Shining movie, they don't even mention it.
Yeah, he's not an alcoholic in the Shining movie.
Like, they may say, oh, I've been sober for this many months, but the whole book is about alcoholism. So, it makes sense from a book standpoint, but not from a sequel to the movie standpoint, which is what it is. It just, there's so much like that. It's most of the movies like that.
And Ewan McGregor, did I even say that first name right?
You know.
Ewan.
Ewan.
He has a forever place in my heart, and I love him a lot, okay? But this movie was terrible, and it wasn't his fault. He did everything he could, but he doesn't look like Danny growing up, you know? I feel like they could have just cast Danny growing up. They could have just casted the same guy. Maybe made him work out a little. No. They should have cast the same guy. I thought they did. Because, like, one of the first things I read about it was he's playing himself in the movie, you know? And then I told Luke that, and he was like, no way.
I thought it was Ewan McGregor.
And I was like, oh shit. But I swear, like, there were articles saying that they were thinking about casting the same guy. But they didn't. And, like,
I'm fine with that. I understand that actors gotta act. The thing is egregious. He's like a super famous actor.
Yeah, he's a super... Yeah!
There's probably so much film of his face you could just superimpose into this movie. He's only in it for like 2 minutes.
I know! Like...
Get him to do a voiceover.
Oh my gosh. And that is another thing I want to talk about. Luke mentioned it earlier, but the movie's so stretched out in parts that it didn't need to be. So, like, the last 20 minutes of the movie were, we have to go to the hotel. Okay, we're at the hotel. Now we have to wait for her. Okay, she's here. And I set up the hotel, and now she's dead, and the hotel burned down.
It's like
it's
instant.
Like 20 minutes. But there's 2 hours where they do nothing. They literally do nothing. Yeah. They like, oh, first, I need to get this baseball glove because he's dead, and also other people touch the glove, so I can see them now. And it's just like...
And the little girl is so overpowered. It's just like, a lot of it just like...
Yeah. And at the end of the movie, the girl's like, oh, the hunter girl says, you think we're the only ones? And it's like, please don't set this up for a sequel.
I think
like,
yeah.
That's so stupid of you to say. Why would you say that? And they're not the only ones. So you're telling me that this whole race of hunter people didn't even notice Danny when he was a kid, when he was like OP for no reason, and now they didn't recognize Abra when she was a kid either. They only recognized her after she watched them, even though, like, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. Like, how can you find someone through him reading a baseball pitcher's mind who is on a mound, like, right in front of him, but you can't see Abra making all those spoons stay on the ceiling?
Or Danny, like, exploding everything with his mind, sending messages. It's just like...
It's so stupid. Like, it's so dumb. And you might say, like, oh, well, they were closer, so they could detect it using meditation. BS. But, like, their signals are so much stronger. Oh my god, that's another thing. The floating through the air sequence was the worst thing I've ever seen. It started playing and I was laughing out loud. Like, it looked so bad. It
looked really bad. It looked like Ooh.
Oop, my bad. That one was mine. It looked so bad. It looked like baby's first green screen.
Yeah.
Like
It looked like a $15 Amazon green screen. It looked bad. But everything else in the movie was alright.
the cinematography was trash, besides for the 2 times where they mirrored exactly what they did in the first Shining.
It wasn't great.
It was so horrible. Like, there's so many cut, reverse shot, reverse shot, reverse shot, reverse shot, you know, like conversations, and it's just like one of my biggest pet peeves. So many boring frames, so many like this, like they would be on the bench like, that is interesting, but may I suggest you not fucking do that? What the fuck? Nothing even happened. He just pushed a bunch of shit off your desk. Anyways, it was not good. It was not good at all. And,
I'd give it... Do you have anything else to say?
Luke was saying if it was a standalone movie.
I think if it had nothing to do with The Shining, if they just took a story and had it be its own thing, I think it would have been a fine movie. They could have done more interesting things with it, like develop the villains, maybe. But since they tied it in with The Shining, and since it's compared to Stanley Kubrick's, and since it's the mix between the book and the movie, just made it really, really bad.
Yeah, and going off of that, so much of this movie was like, I feel like this movie was made for people that haven't seen The Shining.
Yeah.
Because there was so much like, remember when this happened? Remember when this happened? This also happened, and the dad's an alcoholic. And it was just like, so many things from The Shining were just like, remember when remember when Papa just took an axe while I was in the bathroom and was swinging at the door? And remember when he said, here's Johnny? Kind of quirky though. And like, they reenacted it and everything, and it was like, you don't have to do that. If this is a sequel, even though it's not technically a sequel, if this is another movie, you should assume people watch that. Why would you watch this movie if you haven't seen The Shining? Because then it makes this movie look a lot better. But, like, it tells you basically everything that happened in The Shining, and that's it. That was the majority of the story they just took from The Shining, it feels like.
Yeah. Had potential, wasted. 4 out of 10.
Oh, I am going brutal.
It's not
on this.
worse than Aladdin.
I would say it is.
Worse than the live-action Aladdin movie?
This movie, I didn't feel like was... What did I give Aladdin?
2 out of 10.
Did we review Aladdin?
Maybe not.
I don't think we reviewed
We didn't.
Aladdin.
4 out of 10 for me. She'll probably give it a 2. She gives everything
I
a
was
2.
gonna give it a 3.
Oh.
How generous. I'll give it that 1 extra point, because it's my boy.
Okay.
Ewan.
Ewan. I don't know how to say it, honestly. I always just say Ewan.
Well, like Joaquin Phoenix.
That I know how to say. It's Joaquin Phoenix.
Well, I watched the interview on Jimmy
Kimmel or Hendrix? Fallon.
Fallon?
Mhm.
Was it Fallon? I don't know the difference
I think
between
it's
Kimmel and Fallon.
Kimmel's the boring one. And
Fallon's
is
the laughing one?
Yes.
Okay, it was Kimmel.
Mm-hmm.
Where it was so awkward. Apparently people are saying that was faked. Apparently they came out and said that was faked. I don't believe it.
Fake. Yeah, that whole movie was actually a prank, guys. It's not bad. We were just trolling you. Epic troll.
Anyways.
No, yeah, terrible.
This movie was really bad.
3 out of 10, 4 out of 10.
How about Baby Yoda though?
Hmm?
Oh. Oh.
Ooh, she almost forgot.
I have an outro. This has been a AAB conversation. So I'll see you in the next video, if there ever is one. Bye!
Bye.
Notice anything different?